Have you ever been in a situation where you thought, I'm finally getting good at this, I know what I'm doing, and then you get thrown a curveball and you're back at the beginning again? Well, that's how I felt after we had our fifth baby, Lily Ocean. She's in the studio with us today, so we'll get to hear from her a little bit more later. But I thought I knew what I was doing as a mom, and then Lily came along, and she had so many lessons for us. So we're going to share some of the lessons from Lily.
Welcome to the What Could Go Right podcast. We are your hosts, Erik, Orton.
And I'm Emily Orton.
And here we talk about personal growth and sailing. In 2014, we moved aboard a fixer-upper sailboat and bootstrapped a year sailing with our 5 kids, and it changed our lives forever.
We tell the whole story in our memoir, our book, 7 at Sea. On this podcast, we want to help you go from fear to freedom, one adventure at a time. So I was so excited when I learned that we were going to be bringing Lily into our family, and the whole family was very excited, and a lot of things were really special about her birth. She was our only child who was actually born at home and in a bathtub, and I won't go into any details, but it was just smooth and lovely and beautiful, and we loved just bringing her right into our home and then snuggling up on the couch and starting to get to know her. Within a few months, though, we learned that Lily has Down syndrome. And that was such a curveball to me, maybe to both of us. Erik can speak for himself. But
yeah, I don't think we were expecting that, which is fine.
One of the first great lessons I learned as that diagnosis was confirmed is I realized, she's going to be moving at her own speed. She's going to thrive and flourish, but she's going to have her own milestones, and they're going to come on her own timetable. And for me, that was such a beautiful lesson because it actually allowed me to kind of loosen my grip on the expectations that I had for all of my other kids, because each one of them is unique. And this allowed me to take that same view with each of them and say, how can I help nurture you and nourish you and help you grow and flourish at your own rate instead of getting so nervous if, you're not hitting a milestone at the exact statistical moment that your pediatrician predicted that would happen, or getting really excited or like I had anything to do with it in a proud way if you were exceeding or hitting quote unquote milestones ahead of schedule. And so just the very first lesson before Lily could talk or walk, she helped me just kind of calm down as a parent and see each of my kids on their own timetable and in their own unique way, and also to give myself a little grace in my progression. So that was one of my first and favorite lessons from you, Lily.
If you're listening to this and not watching on YouTube, Lily has got a big smile on her face. She's kind of excited to be in the studio with us. She's got her braces on. She's being dorky yet cute all at the same time, which is kind of her specialty. I feel like before we go too much further, we should give Lily a chance to say something because her voice hasn't been heard on microphone yet. So, Lily, how do you feel to be in the studio with us today?
Cool and fun.
Cool and fun. How did you feel about coming into our family?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Okay, we're doing one-word answers today. Is that what we're doing?
I guess so.
Were you surprised to learn that you had Down syndrome?
I was surprised.
That was a little bit of a tricky question. You were surprised. Okay.
I remember when you and I first talked about it, and I was trying to explain to you about the extra chromosome and all the things. And I remember later you saying to me, Mom, I'm dancing drum. I was like, you have a dancing drum? And I realized you said, no, Down syndrome. Like, oh, but it probably the first one is a good explanation too, because it does seem like you don't march to the beat of a different drum. You just have a dancing drum. Doing
Down
your own-
syndrome is Down syndrome.
Your own happy thing. Blink, blink.
Okay, Lily. So you might be thinking about some stories you want to share about being in our family or having your mom and I as your parents. But we're going to share some stories about you, and that might be a little bit embarrassing. Is that okay?
Come ahead.
Go right ahead. Okay. I have a couple that I want to share.
Yeah, go ahead. I shared a story, Eric. I know you have a great one.
Well, but before the one that I mentioned to you before we hit record, there's another one that came to my mind, and that is, this is one of my lessons that I've learned from Lily. You can make magic happen anywhere. Because I've seen Lily make magic happen anywhere. And here's one instance of this. So we were on the subway in New York City, and I think we were coming home. I remember it being coming home, and it's the A train heading way uptown where we lived. And, you know, there was enough seats for everybody, but we were all kind of sitting squished up right next to each other. And Lily and I were next to this nice guy who looked like he was maybe late 20s, early mid-30s, and he had his earbuds in, and he was coming home. It looked like, we didn't know this at the time, he was coming home from work, but he had a bag in it that had some food. And Lily struck up a conversation with this guy. It was like me, Lily, and then this guy. And she started chatting with him and just patting his hand and looking him straight in the eye and getting to know him. And he took out his earbuds and started talking to Lily, and they became friends very quickly. Lily has an amazing ability to make friends very fast. And then right across from this guy was a lady about the same age of this guy. Both of them, you know, nobody was like strikingly beautiful and handsome, but they were both good-looking people, you know, nice enough. And she started chatting with him because she was right across, or starting chatting with this other lady because she was right across from Lily, and she quickly made friends with her. And then Lily decided that these two belonged to each other. And she said, "You two should get married, and we're all going to come to the wedding." And slowly, in New York, everyone's either got their earbuds in or their face in a book, but gradually, all around us, within, I'm going to say, 10 feet radius, which includes a lot of people on the subway, earbuds started to come out, and people would peer over the top of their books, you know, or just put their books down altogether, and they were just listening intently on how this matchmaking situation was going to play out. And Lily started to plan the wedding, and we found out that this guy was coming. He worked at a restaurant, and he had some leftovers in his bag, some takeout he was bringing home.
It's like a steakhouse.
Yeah, he worked
Good
at a
stuff.
steakhouse. And by the time we got to 200th Street where we live, this whole group of people in the vicinity of Lily were friendly with each other. They were smiling, they were laughing, they were looking each other in the eye, and everyone was delighted to attend this wedding, which was forthcoming. And the guy got off at his stop. Actually, I think he got off at one or two stops before us and went on his way and waved goodbye. And Lily was a little bit sad that it wasn't going to work out with this happy couple that she just put together. But he waved, and everyone waved to him, and we kept going, and we waved goodbye to this lady that Lily had betrothed. And it was just, it could have been a moment of nothing. It could have been a moment of nothing, and Lily made it into something beautiful, something magical, something delightful. And so my takeaway for me is that we can take any moment in our lives and make it magical if we want to. And it's going to involve some risk. It might involve reaching out and making a friend quickly and not being afraid to just try stuff. Anyway, do you remember that story? Do you remember that at all? Any memory of that? You remember so many things, but not this one. That's okay. We were there. We know it happened.
Yeah, Lily's in love with love. She's always happy to try to set up a match. I've seen her do that, like at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Say like, "Oh, you have a boyfriend. You have a boyfriend. You don't have a boyfriend. Let's go.
I'll get you one."
I'll get you one."
And you're actually looking for a new boyfriend for yourself right now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll see. That might all change by the time this episode airs.
That's true. Things move fast with little Miss Lily. Okay, so that's one of my stories.
I love
I have another
that.
one, but I don't want to just hold the talking stick for the whole time.
Okay, I think Lily's giving me eyebrows up. What's Mom going to say next?
I think we should ask her. I like the question you asked her right before we hit record.
Yeah, what do you like about being in our family?
Having siblings.
Having siblings. Yeah, how many siblings do
pretty
you
great.
have?
3 sisters and 1 brother.
And how many of them are fans of Lily?
Allison,
Allison, who else?
SJ,
Who else?
Quina,
Who else?
Eli.
Yeah, 100% of your siblings are big fans, big supporters of you. What's something fun that you like to do with your siblings?
Probably me and SJ and I did play Would You Rather. And I put whipped cream on my mouth.
You put whipped cream on your mouth?
SJ did.
They played Would You Rather, and they tried where you like put the whipped cream straight into your mouth, and it was
She
a
almost,
little more
almost
than
choked you.
a little more than Lily could handle. So, yeah, it's fun having siblings. I remember as you would hit new milestones when you did start walking, like they were there encouraging you, enticing you, trying to get some cool toy or maybe a treat they thought you would like, come get it, come walk across the room. And I remember the first time you started walking, I think you were about 19 months old.
What?
And all your siblings were there, and everyone just went nuts like you won the World Cup. Like, they were so excited to be there for the first steps that you took. You got really good at walking, and I think that's actually maybe a good segue into the story that Dad has.
Okay. Another lesson that I have learned from Lily is to, well, actually, I'm just going to tell the story because if I tell the lesson, it might take some of the zing out of the story.
Yeah.
So we were living in Hawaii at the time, and we'd gone up to a little town on the North Shore called Laie at the recommendation of some friends because they have this thing in Hawaii called May Day. And it's where it's a little bit like homecoming court or prom king and queen, but it's in celebration of all the Polynesian islands. And there's a member of court that represents each of the islands. There's a king and a queen that are selected. I don't know how that happens. Voted. I don't know who the judges are. And then part of the celebration is that they do dances and performances that represent each of the islands. And Laie is also where the Polynesian Cultural Center is housed. And so it's a town full of people that are amazing dancers and amazing singers because a lot of them work at the PCC, the Polynesian Cultural Center. And so this is an elementary school event, but they're using the facilities from the PCC, which is a world-renowned attraction. And if you go to Oahu, you should make your way up to the North Shore and see the PCC. And the venue is, I want to say it seats like 5,000 people. And so and the stage is gorgeous. It's covered in kind of green turf, and it's got this big tropical wall behind it that goes up probably 80 feet, maybe 100 feet. It's pretty incredible. So this is the backdrop. And then on the upper terrace of the stage, they have seats where the king and queen and all the members of the court are sitting, and everyone's in beautiful formal Polynesian attire, and they're all just drowning in leis around their necks. And so Lily is just entranced by these performances, seeing these young elementary school kids up there doing these beautiful dances to incredible music. And we're sitting maybe 30, 20 rows back, enjoying the show. And she says, I want to be on stage. And we said, that would be really fun, wouldn't it? We're going to stay here and we're going to watch the show because they've worked very hard to prepare this show for us. She says, I want to be on stage. And we explained that we're all going to stay put and watch the show. Emily gets up to go use the bathroom, and Lily goes with her. And I'm watching the show there with our other kids. And the next thing I know is that off to the side of the stage, I see Lily standing at the edge of the stage with nothing between her and all the performers. She could literally just walk on stage. And I know where this is going. And so I get up, but I'm 30 some rows back, and I've got to make my way across, down the aisle, over to the stage. Anyway, she did not follow Emily to the bathroom, clearly.
I just want to say, I thought I was going alone. I didn't know she was behind me, so I wasn't keeping an eye.
No, you're off the hook. You're a good mother. But Lily was sneaky, and she just kind of like did the Trojan horse thing and like snuck out, with neither Emily nor I aware of what she was doing. And by the time I get to the side of the stage, she's fully on stage, and she's just standing there, and she goes up to the king and queen on the upper terrace, faces them, the whole, like down on the main floor, a whole big production number is happening, and Lily stands in front of them, and then curtsies.
Aww.
And everyone is now fully watching Lily. These poor kids that prepared this dance number are being totally upstaged. And then she doesn't quite know what to do, so she just stands there a little bit awkwardly, and then she decides to kind of walk off to the side towards the end of where all the royalty are seated. And there's kind of a big fake rock that she sits on. It's a little bit precarious, but she just makes herself comfortable because she wants to stay on stage. And after a few moments, the king, remind me, I know it's Manulele. Is it Manulele?
Mm-hmm.
King is his name?
Yep, Manulele Ayus.
Manulele.
He's the king.
Manulele Ayu is the king of
Mayday.
Mayday.
He's the
Sorry,
Mayday
thank you.
king, yeah.
This young man, maybe in the 7th grade, 6th grade, stands up and gestures to his throne and invites Lily to sit on the throne so that she won't be sitting precariously over on the edge on this rock. And Lily accepts. Lily goes and sits on the throne next to the queen, who she acknowledges, and Manulele, the Mayday king, just goes and stands off to the side in the back, having given up his throne, his seat to little Miss Lily. And by this time, I'm like, this has got to stop. So I am now out on stage trying to say, Lily, because before I had been on the edge of the stage waving her, trying to get her to come to me, and she would just shake her head left to right, and the audience just roared laughing. And I invited her again, and she shakes her head no, and so I walk out on stage, and she still refuses to get out of the throne, which is now sort of reclined and draping one leg over the arm like she's some Viking ruler. Like this is her roost. Anyway, I then hold my arm up the way I've seen them do in Jane Austen movies, where the sort of the most senior class people sort of walk with their arm up at an angle forward, and then the lady rests her forearm on the arm of the forearm of the gentleman, and that is how they proceed in or out of situations. And so Lily does not want to come, but I take her forearm and I rest it on top of mine, and we walk down the stairs out to the side, and as we go, everyone gives Lily a large round of applause, which does nothing but encourage her, which is the worst.
And maybe also giving Manulele Ayu a large round of applause.
And Manulele, he was such a class act.
He just stood at attention in his beautiful uniform-looking outfit. And
it's like a big blue blazer with golden epaulettes on the shoulders.
Yeah, he maintained his dignity all throughout. He was regal.
They applauded the whole situation, and it was classy. Anyway, here's my takeaway. And as I'm saying this, I'm thinking of lots of other examples of Lily doing this. Lily went straight for what she wanted. She did not say, oh, well, if I want to be in this production, then step 1, we have to move to this town. Step 2, I have to roll in this elementary school. Step 3, I need to audition for the dance troupe. And step 4, maybe in a year or 2 or 3, if my parents will agree to move to this town, then I can be in this show. Nope. She said, I'm going to walk on stage and join it right now. Now, this is very uncomfortable for me and maybe for you, because a lot of times we feel like, well, that's rude or inappropriate or inconsiderate of the people who have prepared so hard and followed all the rules. And I don't disagree with that. But Lily got results. She got results, and she got them fast. She got exactly what she wanted, and she didn't have to wait. And so part of me is repelled by that, and part of me is very attracted by that because and impressed. So anyway, lesson from Lily. Sometimes, and maybe more than I care to admit, we can just go directly for what we want and not mess around with all of the formalities and process that we think has to be in play for us to get what we want.
Do you remember that experience, Lily? Do you remember going up and sitting on the throne?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened afterwards, after the whole show was over?
They give me a big say.
They did give you a big leg.
Yes, Lily went back up afterwards to say hello to the king and queen when they would actually be able to talk because the performances were over. And the queen gave you a beautiful lei. And the king, his friends and family made a video of it, put it on YouTube. People started passing it around on Facebook. We got connected to his parents. And they invited us over for dinner, and we became friends, and we went over for dinner
On Mother's Day.
a few times,
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
the first time was on Mother's Day because May Day is right around Mother's Day.
more than once. And when we would show up, there would be a bunch of little kids in the back of a pickup truck playing cards, and they would be like, "Lily's here!" And they were so excited, and we made friends. And I remember when we were getting ready to leave the island, the Manulele's mother like baked fresh bread for us, and it anyway. Now we're friends, and we kind of keep an eye on each other on social media.
This
and
is what, 5 years ago?
Yeah, I mean,
We're still friends.
it turned out to be something really, really beautiful, and so I'm, like you said, on the one hand, you're like, oh, that's not polite. That isn't how it's supposed to go. But on the other hand, it allowed us to have a beautiful experience. Everybody there was so proud of their own Manulele
person.
and how
Yeah.
he handled the situation. Everybody understood, like, oh, yeah, maybe Lily's going to make up her own rules. And they reached out in so much love and friendship and brought us into their ohana. And Lily has been the icebreaker that way for us so many times, just like really helping it pave the way for us to make meaningful connections and have good friends.
So if I were breaking this down into something that our listeners could do, step one is have Down syndrome.
You should be so
You
lucky
get
to have
away
a
with a
dancing
lot
drum.
of stuff if you have a dancing drum. Yeah. I have one more story in mind, but I also don't want to just be the only
Yeah,
talk.
go for it. This can be like our last. For me, really, I just love how open Lily is to the world, how willing she is to be delighted, and she will just make friends with anybody. She doesn't care what the external trappings are, whether it's extra fancy or they clearly are in a situation where they're unsheltered. She will approach them with so much love, and it always yields a heart-softening result. And I also love that, like, I remember the first time we took a family road trip to California, and we went past the beach, and we saw surfers in real life.
Yeah.
And she just immediately said, I'm a surfer girl. Like, barely getting out of the car, she's like, okay, I want to do this. And
Walking into the waves in her swimsuit like she was going to go take the board out of the hands of these guys that were out there. She just said, yeah.
oh yeah, this is for me. I'm all about it. I can do this. And she, she might give it a try and change her mind, but Lily, you never are put off by something. You never see something and say, oh yeah, that's not for me. I couldn't do that. That's too hard. You just go for it.
Lily is very quick to say, I am, and identify as whatever that is. I am a surfer. I am a singer. I am, and her
A soccer player.
And her confidence is off the charts. Like, as soon as she's like, if she sees somebody win the World Cup, she's like, I'm going to win the World Cup too. And she just assumes that she can do it because she's seen somebody else do it, and she immediately identifies that I am that person. She never puts a barrier between her and the thing that she sees that she would like to be. She just assumes that it's already who she is, and there might be some steps to take before it actually happens to her. But she's very quick to self-identify with the positive things that she sees in front of her.
Yeah, I love that. Well, let's close with Dad's last story, or maybe we'll ask you if you have anything.
Yeah, so be thinking if you have something you want to share with our listeners, Lily.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So we were in Yosemite, and this was a few years ago. I can't remember exactly how many, but we kind of in the evenings, there's this lodge in where it depends. It's called Half Dome Village or Curry Village, depending on which year you were there. But it's this cool little set of shops and places to eat that are kind of for people that are staying in the valley and have been out hiking all day or rock climbing or doing different activities. And we were camping, and so there's a place where you can go to just sit, and when it's cold, they have a fire, and you can do puzzles and read magazines and charge your phone, and and there's not really any Wi-Fi. It's sketchy, but anyway, so we're there kind of hanging out, and also but we're all lazy and tired from a big day of being outside and in the sun, and we realize, where's Lily? Lily's gone.
She was playing cards with some people, and I guess when they stopped playing cards, those people were like, hey, we're done playing cards. Lily just...
Yeah, so Lily just wandered
off.
And there's a porch outside with rocking chairs, and so we step outside, and Lily's not on the porch. She's not in any of the rocking chairs. And across this little courtyard area, there's a pizza patio. And it's a window where you can walk up and you can order pizzas, small, medium, large pizzas. And then they have some tables outside and also some indoor seating. And we walk over, and, it had been maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, apparently. When we realized that Lily was gone, it was quick for us, but apparently she'd been gone for a little bit, because we find Lily sitting at this table with a nice couple, and a ranger has just walked up to sort of take stock of the situation. And so we quickly hustle over there and, hey, I'm Lily's dad, and this is Lily's mom, and she just got away from us. And the ranger said, okay, I'm glad everything's all right. Glad she found her parents. And anyway, we sat down with this couple who proceeded to tell us what happened. So Lily had snuck off, and she went to the pizza patio, and she got in line to order pizza because Lily loves these pizzas. We'll usually go out one time per trip that we're there.
Do you remember what kind of pizza you liked?
I got a sausage.
A sausage pizza.
And?
Root beer.
Sausage and root beer. Yeah. So Lily's in line, and this couple that is now at the table with her is standing right behind her, and apparently he's a police officer?
Yeah, he was at LAPD.
LAPD. And they're like, this girl's here by herself. Let's just keep an eye on her, make sure she's okay. She walks up to the window, and she orders her sausage pizza and her root beer, and the person inside rings it up and says, okay, that'll be, $15 or $12 or whatever it is. And she says, okay. Lily says, okay, and just looks right at this person. And I don't know, do you remember if it was a guy or a girl that helped you buy your pizza?
It was a guy.
So this guy doesn't quite know what to do, and so he just hits manager discount and zeroes it out. And once your order is placed, you get one of those little pucks that lights up when it's ready. And so he gives her a puck, and he says, okay, when your pizza's ready, you go over to that next window and pick it up. And Lily says, thank you. And she takes her puck and she goes and she sits down, and this couple behind her order their own food. And then they just kind of sit and hang out with Lily. And Lily's puck goes off, and she goes and gets her pizza and her root beer. And she comes and she sits down, and she's sitting there eating her pizza. And I can't remember if the other couple had gotten their food by this time or not, but they were all just sitting there together when we show up. And for me, I just love Lily's assumptiveness. She doesn't have money. She knows what she wants, and she just says, I want a pizza, a sausage pizza, and a root beer, and asks for it and gets it. And this is one of the most aggravating things to me as a parent. 'Cause in fact, I think we were driving away from this incident, and she was like, we were putting music on in the car.
She goes, let's play some tunes.
And I said, what did I say?
I don't want to do any of your ideas. I don't want you to have any more of your ideas.
I said, I don't want you to get your way anymore. We're not doing any more of your ideas. Because whenever Lily has an idea, she just asks for it and she gets it. What a cool gift. And so my lesson from Lily, my takeaway is just ask. Again, like the last story, you might not have You might not follow all the rules that we think have to be in place, but she just says, I want a sausage, pizza, and a root beer, and she gets it. Without any money, without needing to twist anybody's arm. She wasn't pressuring anybody. She wasn't trying to be a bully, like, you owe it to me, or any. She just asked for it, and she got it. And I'll just leave it there. And
I think Lily's the best at manifesting, and I am going to throw in this one last story, and I hope that this can be useful to you, as saying, like, again and again, what if I just ask for it? What if having an idea, the first thing I do is not say, oh, that won't happen, or that's too hard, or that's not likely. No. Instead, think about Lily, and here's what happened in May of this year. She asked a boy to the prom. Super awesome guy that she goes to school with, and that he said yes. Then she told me that she asked him. I didn't even know when the prom was. It turned out it was going to be like in 5 days. And so she said, well, I want to have this dress just like the Princess Belle from the Disney movies, like a fancy yellow dress. So I just start looking up yellow dresses on Amazon because, like, it's not a costume party and you're not just going to get a dress. Like, I'm telling her, and she's like, yeah, that's what I want. I want to be a princess. I want to dress like Belle, and I want my boyfriend to wear a dark blue suit like the Beast. Well, I tell one of her teachers, yeah, Lily she wants to dress like Belle, and I'm not able to find something quite like that to get it in time and all of that stuff. And she said, well, my mother hand sewed a dress just like that for me that she can wear if she wants. And they happen to be about the same height. And another neighbor said, yeah, I'll be happy to help you just like safety pin it in, kind of do a temporary.
Our neighbor who's a costume seamstress.
Yeah, she said, I can do a temporary fitting. And she tells, when the boy's parents called to say, oh, yeah, we're going to rent a tuxedo, Lily says, I want it to be dark blue because I love Beauty and the Beast. And it turns out his mother also has that as her favorite Disney movie, and so they're all about it. And they go get him a dark blue tux. She has the dress of her dreams, and I'm just kind of dumbfounded, like, oh, I guess you can do that. I guess you can do that.
Ask for what you want.
Ask for what you want. And
say what you want, regardless of how unlikely or illogical or even expensive.
Yeah, because, again, it was like totally free, totally happy to do it, no pressure, no trouble. And it was so fun, so delightful. They had a magical evening. She got her white coach the exact same way. Just, I want this particular friend who has a bus to drive us in his bus. And he stopped all his other plans and came and chauffeured Lily.
Their white party bus.
To prom. So, I really think that is the lesson. Like, don't be afraid to know what it is you want and then to ask for it. And like we always end this show with the title, What Could Go Right?
What could go right? Lily, what could go right?
When it's go on.
What?
What could go right?
When it's go right.
All right. Thanks for being here with us, Lily. We love you. Hey guys, it's Erik. Before we wrap up, I just want to give you a few takeaways from a recent trip that we had to the Bahamas last week that was just phenomenal. We got together with a good friend of mine, Jana Parkin. She's a watercolor instructor at a university, and she got together a group of students, and we all went to paint watercolors on the water in the Bahamas, and it was amazing. So I want to share some of her takeaways with you. And then just so you know what's going on for this fall and early next year, we do have a couple of spots on trips this fall. In fact, in September, I'm going to Italy, September 28th. And unfortunately, some crew members, they had a death in the family. They can't join. So I have 2 cabins. If you want to join, I know it's super last minute, but if you're interested in sailing the beautiful islands of Italy, let me know. We've got room for you. Happy to make that work. Also, I'm going to be doing a trip in December. And the first week of December, it's going to be to either the Bahamas or the Sea of Cortez, Mexico, just finalizing that here. But if you want to go sailing right before the holidays, then let me know. And then January is sold out. February is sold out. In March, we do have some availability for some trips in the Caribbean. And then in the summer, we're going to be jumping and doing some trips overseas in Europe. So let me know what you're interested in. Drop me a line, hello@theawesomefactory.nyc, or go to our website, theawesomefactory.nyc/ sailing 2024, and we'll get you taken care of. Thanks. So Jana, we talked about this trip like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months ago.
Yeah, in March, I think, or April. Yeah.
So what was something that was surprising or unexpected for you, different than you expected?
Okay. Wow. Everything. I thought that everything far and away exceeded my expectations. It was way more beautiful than I imagined. I didn't have to worry about the heat as much as I imagined. That it was always a comfortable temperature on the boat, and it was gorgeous every minute, and the accommodations were comfortable, and you ordered the perfect weather, Erik. How did you do that? It was so good.
I have a guy.
Yeah, I know. You have all the guys. The guy that lined up all the iguanas on the beach, and
the rainbows.
Yeah, rainbows. You just dialed it in, man. It was so good.
Okay, I have a question for you in front of everybody here.
Yeah.
You've taught painting a lot,
Yeah.
right? This is a new situation for you.
Yeah.
Just real quickly, what was unique or different about painting here versus other places you've been?
We had mostly beginners here, which I thought was really, really fun. And I think that I'm used to working large, and it was a challenge for me to work small. And it was challenging for everybody, I think, to work in such a humid climate, because we had a lot less control over when things were drying and how fast things were drying. But I felt like it was awesome to paint on the boat. I think everybody had a good time, and I was honestly surprised about how people, well, I'm not surprised because I've seen it before, but how the people who had never painted before just dug in and did it and had a good time, had a good experience.
I had a blast.
Good, I'm so glad.
Thanks for teaching.